So Green Riders started with a couple of friends back in 2019. We worked together in previous businesses where we've always had the objective of doing something good for the planet and doing good for people. We were in the events industry and we used to do a lot of conservation work, raising money for rhinos and other endangered species. Then during COVID, the events industry obviously had a bit of a wobble, and also being a passionate cyclist, I started importing e-bikes actually from 2017 already. And we just thought, like, I wonder if there's a way to use e-bicycles and create something meaningful. So I got together my core team that I worked with in previous businesses, also a good friend of mine that I've known since pre-primary school, Rory, who's got a lot of technical background. He actually built my very first bicycle at the age of like 12 or 13. So we used to BMX together. So I've always been, something to do with passion. If I don't have passion for something, I can't make a success out of it. So I've always been passionate about cycling and, creating something meaningful for the planet and for our people. And yeah, that was when the vision of Green Riders kind of started. So we knew that we could make an impact in people's lives. We could do something good for the planet by decarbonizing the planet. And yeah, during that period, we saw a big spike in the e-commerce, last mile delivery sector. Took a bit of a gamble, brought in our first 100 e-bikes. We raised a bit of seed capital for that and tested the markets. So yeah, that was kind of the birth of Green Riders. That was actually from a previous company called Pathway Cycles. We decided to rebrand to Green Riders because we had so many people calling us saying, do you sell this bike, do you sell that bike? And we weren't really in the retail market. So yeah, we just decided to do a rebrand. And yeah, the strength from 2019 till now. So load shedding is a good question. What we found is that we have to have fast charging. So we use 5 amp chargers, and our batteries are relatively big, but it takes about 2 to 3 hours to charge the battery from. We don't let it go underneath 20%. Our BMS kind of cuts it out so it never goes empty, but it takes about 2 to 3 hours to charge full. So unless there's like load shedding, 7 or 8, we're actually quite safe because, our team will be able to charge up their batteries from, 11 p.m. when they get home from shift, and generally it's charged up by 2 a.m. in the morning. So when they start their shift early mornings, everything's good and dandy. So we haven't really had too much of a load shedding issue from a fleet perspective. It's just more annoying when we have generators in the background now at our offices. So as I previously mentioned, it was very important for us to create something sustainable and beneficial for the people of South Africa. From a lot of research, we realized there's a lot of youth that just don't have jobs. They don't have the opportunity. They're not established enough. They barely have anything more than a matric qualification. And I'm not saying this industry is easy, but it's something that you don't have to have some sort of degree to be able to make really good money. All you have to have is self-discipline, determination, and just be a go-getter. So we found that this is a great opportunity for us to tap into that market and work with the youth that don't have the opportunity to necessarily get into a mainstream job. And I think that's been something very close to our hearts. The entire team, even when we hire someone, if they're not passionate about making change in people's lives, they just won't really fit in with our organization and our company culture. And during our training, we actually try and emphasize how important it is to go green. So just the other day, we announced that we've just completed over 3 million kilometers of carbon-free tailpipe emissions, if you want to call it that. where we haven't used any ICE vehicles since we've been in Green Riders, and yeah, we've just made it quite clear, and it's important for people to know that they are contributing to the planet, and they are contributing to a positive change for the planet. Sorry about that. And it's part of the educational process. So we did definitely try and emphasize on that side of things as well. A lot of our candidates that are now Green Riders actually, feel proud to know that they're doing something good for the planet as well while they're making money on the side. So it's really a win-win situation for us. I think it all starts with education. If you look at Europe, it's drilled into people's minds how, global warming. I spent a lot of time in the Netherlands, and you'll speak to the youngsters there, and they're very, you can say, left-winged, and it's all about going green and all about making a positive change, and all of those type of things. That's the right mindset for a sustainable future. In South Africa, in our educational system, I don't believe that is a huge emphasis in the school, in the school structure. So I think what we need to do is, as organizations absorb the youth into their different companies or different entities, it's to emphasize, whether you a Green Rider or you're working at a coffee shop, explaining to them and saying, when we sell coffee and it's takeaway, let's use organic. And they're going to ask, why is organic important? Well, it's important because we're selling thousands of these things a month. We're going to contribute to a huge problem. So let's work together and explain and show that we care for the planet. And eventually people's mindsets start changing. They start appreciating the efforts that they do. They feel rewarded because they get, get praise for the work, and not really so much the work, but the feeling of doing something good for the planet as well. And we always say that, well done guys. When we had our 3 million kilometer milestone, we sent a message out to the groups with all our Green Riders saying, yeah, thank you for contributing to this. That's 85 times around planet Earth. It's amazing. We could have done that with ICE vehicles. However, we chose as Green Riders to do something good instead. So I believe the government is being more proactive. You'll see that the JETP final draft has been, well, not really drafted, the final implementation plan has been released. There's a lot of good things out there. Green Riders is mentioned from the e-bicycle implementation partner for JETP, which is fantastic news. But I would say more local government and national government, not such on a big picture from a SDG perspective, but just looking at policy and incentivizing the green economy. As an example, like what they do in Europe is, if you have an EV or you're using an electric bicycle or bicycle, you'll have priority parking. Working on infrastructure as well. There's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be implemented in order to create a sustainable green economy. I can't speak on behalf of all the different industries such as solar and anything else in that sphere. They would have their own challenges and things that they would appreciate more input from a government perspective. But from mobility, it's assisting the industry with infrastructure, charging facilities, better tariffs for people, charging up, more solar investment, for micro vehicles and micro EVs to be able to charge, and just general support, especially when it comes to youth upliftment. We do the best that we possibly can, and we've got fantastic partners such as Arambi and Yes for Youth, but they're not government. Where government could emphasize the importance of this and also look at raising funding to ensure that our youth can be trained and into this green economy, whether it's a Green Rider or working in manufacturing or solar power or solar panel installations. There's a lot of various TVET colleges that are emphasizing this, but they need that type of support as well. The main challenges, to be honest, is that from our perspective, is we paying all the school fees. When we bring in the wrong hardware, we feel the pain. You can't bring in 1 or 2 bikes and test the market and think that you can sign that off and be happy. You only realize real teething problems and issues when you've got a fleet of 100 plus. So our first fleet of 100 e-bikes, we've actually written the entire fleet off. Just making bad decisions on what tires to use, what batteries we should be using. We had frame issues, a whole bunch of things, but it's all fixable. But you have no one to copy in the market. You can't go to Johnny's Cycles next door and see what they're doing and just quickly learn from them. So we felt that we had to pay a lot of school fees. And secondly is building trust in the EV market. I'm so sick and tired of hearing, oh no, we can't use your e-bikes because there's yields in my area. I'm like, yes, not all e-bikes are designed to go up 35-degree yields, but we've put a lot of R&D into our assets to make sure that we can achieve these type of things. So it's just changing the mindset of our customers and people within the industry that could potentially be our customers and partners in the future, to get them to believe that the EVs are the future, EV is the way to go. But in all honesty, that was more of a 2019, 2020 problem. When we started, EV and micro-mobility wasn't even a thing those days. But now we've got our partners such as Uber. We're working on a 2024 strategic plan. Uber's also investing quite a lot of money into creating better planning for cycle lanes and infrastructure for micro-mobility. Governments are working closely with us. I'm on an advisory board so that they can learn and understand more about the market, all the policies and pretty much the policies that have been outdated since 2007. I'm fortunate enough now to actually sit in a room with decision makers to really create a more inclusive policy for 2023 that makes sense for scale, not just for Green Riders, but any micro-mobility or EV company coming to South Africa. What keeps me very excited is when I see our riders on the road. Often, drive around with either a colleague or my partner, and we see green riders everywhere. And every single time I see them, I go, hey, look, there's a green rider, and he's off to go make some money. And it just makes me proud to see, that's a guy that didn't have a chance in the past, and he's now got himself, or he or her, has got themselves an e-bike. And I can see them going to the shop, collecting an order. And every single time I see them collecting an order, I realize, us as an entity and my vision has created that opportunity for them to get that job, get that order and get that gig work where every time they pocket 30, 40 Rand into their pockets. So it's just amazing to actually see my dream come to life. I think that's probably what keeps me going. There's days where I feel completely demotivated. You feel super isolated being the first in this market. And there's obviously a lot of stress behind the scenes, but those days that you feel like giving up and trying something else that's a little bit easier, you realize the impact that you're making in people's lives, and seeing the stats of 3 million kilometers. When I die one day, I'll at least know that I've done something good. So that keeps me going. My advice to any green entrepreneurs is you have to start. I've been in this industry for a while now, and I see very similar companies and people at summits, expos, and they all got great products. They all got great vision and great ideas, but they're not bullish enough to just actually start. They've got samples of bikes, they've got samples of their technology, they've got all the blueprints on paper, the full business plan for 5-year vision, but not many people are willing to take that risk. When I took the risk in 2019 and brought in the first 100 bikes, it was probably the biggest mistake I made from a hardware perspective, but also the best decision of my life, because even though we've made so many mistakes over that time, we learned a lot, and there's no way that you can't learn if you don't have the products and you're not failing. So I'm a strong believer of, fail, but fail fast, learn from your mistakes and grow. But all the stuff in theory, and you've got one bike or one solar panel, and you're dreaming of this big day when someone's going to come to you and say, yes, 20 million rand, please do fulfillment for me, and you're just waiting for that day the rest of your life. You can't. You have to just start. There's nothing that's going to come your way easily. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to pay school fees, but you actually get out of it at the end of the day. We've done that. We proved that system works. That's my biggest advice. Start. Don't hold back another day. The best part for me for the Africa's Green Economy Summit was the networking. It's so fulfilling to see so many more people in this industry that have drive and are passionate about what they do. When you are an entrepreneur, I guess it's just human nature. You want to feel that you've got a support system around you, and without Africa's Green Economy Summit, you almost think, hey, I'm doing this by myself. I'm the only person in South Africa, stupid enough to tap into a market that doesn't exist, and creating something from ground up. But when you go to the summits, you realize there's more people in this, more people with struggles, more people that you can network and speak to on a personal level and see what they're doing and learn from one another and be there just to support. I've really made some good friends in the industry that we don't necessarily work together or partnerships with anything, but we would look out for each other, drop each other WhatsApps or voice notes, or give a call every now and then saying, hey, I saw this opportunity. I don't know if it fits your portfolio or, something that you have appetite for, but, go ahead and, try and make those connections for one another. I mean, just yesterday, a good friend of mine, Sparkly, he runs a company that does, it's all about EV rentals, so like car rentals, Volvos and everything else, and just made a connection with him and one of our Uber contacts so that he can potentially get into that market. No real, financial benefit to us, but we wouldn't meet all these people if it wasn't for Africa's Green Economy Summit. So it's highly recommended. I mean, I go every single year just to make sure that you stay connected and you can learn and just, be involved in the industry. I'd just like to add, thank you for this opportunity. I've always appreciated the Booker Group. They've been an amazing partner to Green Riders. I know we're not anything official, but the love and support that we found from Africa's Green Economy Summit, the Booker Group, and every other partner that's been involved, including Ian from E-Movement. We loved the Formula E last year. We had the privilege of actually riding our e-bikes around the track, and that opened so many doors. I mean, that was the first time I met the Premier of the Western Cape, Alan Windy, and the other dignitaries that were part of that event. And now we talk all the time. I mean, if it wasn't for E-Movement and the Booker Group, we wouldn't have had that opportunity to actually connect with the Premier and other Western Cape government dignitaries. So I just love the team, and I love what you guys are doing. So thank you.